When you were growing up, or even now in college, are there any artists, teachers, or just like people that you looked up to artistically, or even just as inspirationally?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with my mom was just an art history encyclopedia, and she has always been referring me to different artists and taking me to museums and just showing me how big the world is out there. And that I think has been a huge part in my drive to keep learning and keep kind of developing my craft because, you know, there's always there are people that you see their work and it's just so outstanding and consistent and um so many different layers. I mean, and I've seen them at different ages in my life. Like, one of my favorite paintings is Guernica by Picasso, and that was really close to our apartment in Madrid. That I would, walk there with my mom as a kid and just sit down in front of it for hours and just stare at it and try to draw it in my sketchbook. And then every year I'd come back and, you know, my the evolution of how I would see it would change, and then I would understand its meaning more. I would notice the materials, uh, the scale, and that that experience of understanding that there have been so many incredible people that have come before me has really just fed to this desire to like keep getting inspired by every artist that I see. The um I mean, in terms of people directly in my life, I didn't take any art classes in high school. My art teachers now at Yale are great and they're very inspiring, but the people that have I feel like the most impacted by were definitely my parents, just for the exposure to the art world as a whole. People who really love appreciating and learning about different artists and the work they do.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure.
Um, so I'm looking at the painting right now, and
Yeah, so am I.
before before we recorded this, I was kind of looking at your other works that you have on your Instagram, and I was like kind of asking you. Well, I was like, I'm trying to see like if he's you know kind of inspired by certain painters, and we were throwing out some names, and I was like maybe Pablo Picasso, a little bit of that, and like
Of course.
I think so. I think I'm not really and I wouldn't say I'm like an artist or anything, but in talking and seeing different artists go through a progression, in terms of their work, I've seen a lot of people, they start out with kind of impersonating, not impersonating, but getting inspired by
Replicating.
different artists, and
Yeah.
then trying to emulate the things that they appreciate in those pieces of art, and then I think there comes a point where you almost make your own like you make your own name, have your own concept, and then that becomes like your trademark, and you kind of carry that with you throughout like the rest of your career. So I'm wondering like where would you be right now? Are you Would you say that you have your own kind of style now? Are you still following in the footsteps of other great artists? Like where is that right now?
Um, I very much consider myself a student still. I'm very humbled by the fact that I have so much to learn still, and that it may be from other artists, that may be from just spending more hours in the studio. Um, I am aware that a somewhat recognizable style has been developed, but I also don't like confining myself to it just because I feel like when you stop learning, you die, and you it's very easy to just get comfortable with something and keep making that. And you see those like art Instagrams that it's like, you know, it's very popular now to like once you get something that you is cool and like just like keep running with it and like you know I respect that, but it's not it's not for me. Like I don't want to be making the same thing all the time. Just because the adventure for me is in the unknown. Like I like experiencing being halfway through a work and not knowing how it's going to end
Mm.
because it kind of leaves your mind in the most creative place it can be, which is a sort of improvisation and determination to finish and explore and develop your skills in something that you don't know. So I feel like right now the where I'm at is learning from everyone and everywhere and everything that I do and really taking close note. I've been especially keen to be documenting everything I do because I know I'm not making my best work right now that I'll ever make. I hope not, but I want to be able to at least reflect and look back through what I've done and say, you know, this is where I've started picking this up and this is when I started developing that. So, yeah,
Wow. When you stop learning, you die. That's an amazing quote. I love that. And I think you're completely right. When you start like micro organizing or just planning things out too rigorously, you can really saturate your own creativity. And like before we started
exactly.
this podcast, I even asked you if you wanted to like plan it out, and you were like, "No, I'm more like impromptu." And I love that. That's amazing. Like, I mean, I feel like more people should definitely hop on that wave.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. All it requires is like a little the enough confidence to get through that point of discomfort. Um, because like you knowing that you will make it. Like, I know you run a lot. This is something that running coaches have always told me. I'm assuming they've told you a similar thing, but there will come a point in a race or in a run that you will feel so uncomfortable and that you will want to stop.
Mhm.
But that is the moment where you are getting better and exerting yourself to a point that, maybe the next time you get there, that point will be half a mile further ahead. Or, you know, the the important part is knowing that you still, even if you feel that discomfort, you can still finish. So I guess it's a kind of a similar mentality to that. But
Yeah.
I don't know what your take is on
Pushing your
No.
boundaries, people. Let's go.
that.
Exactly. I mean, you're completely right. And earlier you were talking about how you were learning so much while being uncomfortable for like the first time when you were at Yale. So I mean, is it safe to assume that you grow or learn and develop more when you are uncomfortable?
I mean, I think that's precisely what learning is. It takes effort for your brain to register something unfamiliar. It takes effort to for you to motivate yourself to continue even when you don't know when it's going to end. It takes effort to read a sentence over and over again even if you don't understand it and look up this word, and then if you have to look up every word in the sentence, it takes effort, but you've learned it. That, if you're doing something that you already know how to do, you're not learning, right?
Yeah.